always going to take all of us. I think he should take all of us. And as a pastor, I want everybody to go up the mountain climb. But for some reason, Jesus only chose 3, and he left down 9. I want to ask you, if you woke up in the morning and Jesus taps you on the shoulder and says, come with me, and you get up and you say, where are you going? Jesus says, I'll tell you later. I'll tell you after breakfast. Then he goes over to 2 other friends of yours and taps them on the shoulder and said, come on, you're going with me. And then you say, well, what are you doing today? And the rest of them have got other plans. They're not part of God's plan that day. That's where I identify. I don't identify with the 3 that are chosen, okay? I identify with the other 9 that are left down at the base camp that aren't invited. One of the things about Adam getting ready to go to Mount Everest was he's got the plan, he's got the trek, and he invited Stephen to come to the base camp and to wait there because that's a good early beginning journey, but it's not going to the zenith. I think that's kind of what happened here. They are still invited, but they got to stay down at the base camp. Here's what I don't want to happen to you. I don't want you to go through all of your life always at the base camp. I want you some mornings to get that tap on the shoulder and you sense that God is inviting you to begin the trek because you need to overcome a mountain. Sometimes it's easier just to fall down at the base of that mountain and say, Lord, I can't do this. I can't do it anymore. I'm struggling. I don't have energy. Lord, I'm just going to stay down here at the camp. God's saying, yes, you can, because I tapped you on the shoulder and I'm inviting you to go with me. Let's take a hike together. And the image I've always had when I've read this text, and I've always gone from the base camp of the apostles and Jesus, there are 4 of them, and they're automatically to the top. Have you done that when you read it? Then you go from the bottom all the way to the top, just like that. You don't really think about the journey. Why I asked Stephen to bring the props words? Because that's what you need to go from the base camp to the top. You need to keep your balance. You need to have that pickaxe. You need to find that grounding every step you make. On Facebook, I posted a wall climbing wall. I don't know what you call it. Rock climbing wall. That was it. Rock climbing wall. And this guy puts his hands behind his back. Did you see it? And he puts his foot into one little slot and works his way, and he climbs up this vertical wall with his hands behind his back. Oh my goodness. How does he do it? How does he keep his balance? I want you, as you walk up that mountain that you're dealing with today, to know that we're here for you. That you're not alone. Jesus did not go up on that mountain by himself, did he? He invited 3 people. I want to ask you, who are 3 people in your life that you want to invite into your mountain climb? You see, when they got tapped on the shoulder that morning, they had no idea where they were going. He just said, follow me. So they began their journey. We're going to go up on this mountain. What if they had a bad night the night before? Could they have said, you know, Jesus, I'm really not going to go. Did you get somebody else? Aren't you glad they didn't do that? Because they had no idea what was in store for them up on the mountain. This is very important. The story today happened because Jesus knew who was already up on that mountain. Who was on the mountain? Moses and Elijah. Okay? Jesus knew he was going up that mountain because he was going to meet the 2 heroes of the Old Testament. But did Peter, James, and John know that? I mean, you think Jesus said, hey, guess what we're doing today? We're going to go see the Torah keeper, and we're going to go see the greatest prophet in all of Israel. Anybody want to go? He didn't tell them that. And God will not tell you everything that's getting ready to happen in your life. Because he wants you to walk. He wants you to walk with him every step of the way. And as you honor and obey him, then God will bless you as you work your way up. When they got to the top of that mountain, and they're winded, they think there was 2 mountains to choose from. Mount Tabor, which is 1,886 feet high, or Mount Hermon, which is 9,232 feet high. Take your pick. You get to choose. But they get to the top. Jesus, we made it. What are we doing up here, man? I'm a fisherman. You know, these are 3 fishermen now. They're used to the bottom. They're used to staying down there in the water. And he's got them mountain climbing. They're out of their element. And as they look up, all of a sudden, descending is Moses and Elijah. Peter starts opening his big mouth, inserts his size 10 shoe into his mouth, and tries to start talking, and God has to cover him with a cloud, just like the Exodus story, cloud. And in the cloud, he says, be quiet. I want you to climb your mountain. And when you've overcome whatever it is you've overcome, I want you to experience the cloud of God's glory. And I want you to not open your mouth. Be still and know that I am God. When Elijah climbed Mount Horeb, you remember after he killed all the Baal worshipers? There was a fire, there was an earthquake, there was a wind, but God was not in them. Where was he in? He was in the small, thin voice. And the only way you can hear that small, thin voice when you've overcome, when you're on top of that mountain, is to be still. Like Stephen said, you just want to stay up there and you just want to breathe it in. You want to be quiet and listen. And the voice says, this is my child with whom I am well pleased. Listen to him. The best part of the story to me, the punchline of this whole thing, is that when after Peter opens his mouth and the cloud covers them and he's quiet finally, then it says, and they looked, they fell down because they were scared, and Jesus came to them. It says he touched them. He said, it's okay. Don't quake. I love you. Keep the balance between honor and awe and being real cozy with your God. You kind of got to walk that dance step. They fell down on their knees, and then he came and he touched them. And as he touched them, they opened their eyes, and they no longer saw Moses. They no longer saw Elijah. They only saw Jesus himself alone. I want you in your life, and when you come to that mountain, and you're overcoming, whatever it is, when you've made it to the pinnacle, when you've reached the top of the top, I want you to have a mountaintop experience with Jesus. And I want to hear about it as your pastor. I want to hear about your spiritual experiences. I want to hear about the celebrations of where you've overcome something. When Jake comes back from being a shell and he's going through incredible grief, that's what it's about. We want to see renewal and recovery and restoration and resurrection. That's what we're about. We're all about that. We're people of redemption. I've fallen in love with a new Netflix show called Father Brown. Have you watched it? Father Brown is a Catholic priest from the early 1900s, 1920s, 30s. And it's the story of a murder that happens in every episode. And it's not the investigator who solves it. It's Father Brown. And what I love about it is one of the very few shows I've seen as a pastor where they get it right. We're either gooby, right? Or we're out of touch, or we're irrelevant, or we're over the top. But Father Brown is not that. And what I love about his show, and I invite you to watch it, is in every episode there is a murder, and he leads the people to confession, and then he leads them to redemption. All in 50 minutes. Wouldn't it be great if life was so easy like that? Well, in each one of those, there's a mountain, and they overcome the mountain. They recognize their guilt and their shame. And what I love about the end of it, I've seen shows where he'll fall down in a church, beautiful church, by the way, and this person confesses, and instead of him condemning them and getting the investigator to come send them to jail, what does he do? He reaches down and he gives them a holy touch of God's love and God's grace. And that's what I want to do. And that's what I want all of us to do. Because each of us is a mountain climber. Each of us is invited today to discover where is it that God is leading us. Who are the 3 people in our life that's going to be with us? Who really are your closest friends? Jesus had 3 out of 12. And that's Jesus. So don't feel bad if you don't have a whole lot of friends. Socially, it's a great reminder that sometimes Jesus does not take the whole batch. He only takes a few. But if God ever taps you on the shoulder and says, come with me, go with him. Because God's got something big in store for your life. I believe it, do you?